Welcome everybody to the Blue Lake City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 26th, 2025.
It's Wednesday.
I was going based on the old one, I apologize.
Sorry.
27th, 6:30. Would everybody stand for the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Staff, would you please establish a quorum?
Councilmember Napier? Here. Councilmember Lewis Lusso?
Here.
Councilmember Sawatsky?
Here.
Councilmember Scafani? Here. Councilmember Bailiff? Here.
All right, old business from last night's meeting. We had a closed session. We adjourned the closed session at 6:50. We moved to adjourn at 8:06 on 8/26, and we returned to Skinner Store with a quorum to report out. No reportable action at 8:10 p.m. Okay. All right, moving on to item number 2. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the City Council that is relevant to the scope of the authority of the City of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The Council may provide up to 15 minutes for the public input session. To ensure each individual presentation is heard, the Council may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. I'm opening it up for public comment. Who would like to speak? Yes, Adeline, go ahead.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm wearing my YIMBY shirt again. Proud Blue Lake YIMBY. Yes, in my backyard is what it stands for, and that just keeps the focus on affordable housing. And I see it's more about that on agenda number 4. I've been called the fearless mayor, former mayor of Blue Lake by one of my supporters. As a famous president, Franklin D. Roosevelt once said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Welcome to Jill Duffy, our interim manager. I worked for Jill's campaign for supervisor when Blue Lake was part of the 5th District. I was also working with her as she was the executive director of the Humboldt Waste Management Authority, HWMA. But keep in mind, Jill is temporary, 3 to 6 months. I had to laugh when Kat Napier said she has integrity. We had a manager with integrity. Her name is Mandy Mager. Jill has lived in Blue Lake a few times. Mandy has lived her whole life in Blue Lake and traces her native roots from her father. Jill works here 8 hours, then leaves, goes back to Fortuna, just like Dwayne Riggy used to do. Mandy was here 24/7. After being our manager, she also continued her commitment to Blue Lake and still does as a member of our Blue Lake Fire Department. We had a wonderful Annie and Mary Day. Thanks go to Blue Lake Chamber President Justin Goad and the hardworking Chamber Board of Directors. The parade at 11, organized by Board Director Mandy Mager and announced by Andy Jones at the Town Square, was great. The Bill Nessler Car Show had many entries, and all proceeds go to the Blue Lake Parks and Rec Department. Thanks, Glenn Bernald. The Wanika ladies and museum members made $1,162.50 selling baked goods, coffee, and soda. The Timber Heritage Association brought double the tracks this year as last year, and their speeder train whistle could be heard throughout town on Saturday and Sunday. In the park, we had over 50 vendors, including the Redwood Coast Mountain Biking Association, who sold the beer for the day. The Blue Lake Fire Department sold out of Blue Lake beef sandwiches and made over $1,000. The Humboldt Folklife Society provided the music and 4 great bands, emceed by Patrick Cleary. Yours truly walked around with the fiddling case and netted $148 for the chamber. Once again, good job, President Justin Goad and the board of the Chamber of Commerce. On Saturday, August 16th, we had our annual citywide yard sale. Despite the rain for the second time, it was wonderful seeing families and Cal Poly Humboldt students buying necessities. I started the Blue Lake Citywide yard sale in 2015.
Thank you, Adam. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
Zoom muted. And no camera apparently.
Just press on the video. Just click on that.
Ready?
Nope,
Go ahead.
we've got video.
I wish to thank the current council. I think some wonderful things are hopefully in the works. With your help and Supervisor Steve Madrone and his replacement during next election cycle, we look forward to putting Blue Lake back. Nobody has really made an effort to do that in all these years. I think it's time we put back our namesake and put it back there. And I look forward to that project coming to completion. Right now we have some major negative things, which are carryovers from the last 10 years of, in my opinion, mismanagement. We have leaky water tanks. They're leaking like a sieve up there. We're losing all kind of money. I went down to the Rancheria and they have a big shiny new water tank down there. And I would envision most likely they're going to run a line out to the main. Why should they buy the water from Blue Lake when they can get it cheap and buy it directly from the water district? Makes no sense. They also have a very large sewer system treatment plant area flagged out there, where my guess is that we're going to have that in. So what happens to us, my understanding, talking to staff, that's approximately a 25 or 30% hit on our sewer and water funds. That's not a small thing that we're going to have to do. You're going to have to deal with. You've inherited this problem. You've inherited a defunct site down here at Blue Lake Power that I don't know if they paid rent or water for 10 years. I mean, this is something that should have been taken care of years ago, and now you're saddled with the layovers of what prior administration and staff did there. So it's going to be an uphill battle. I think appreciate you folks being willing to take these things on, and hopefully we'll be able to get a tourist industry back here a little bit, maybe, and get some economic development coming to Blue Lake with those of us locally who wish to participate in that now under your guidance. The downtown, it would be great to have that all redesignated multi-use, which is now hobbled because it's commercial in some areas, and some people would like to do other development in that area. So hopefully some of these changes will take place, and we will all move forward as a team together. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today.
Whoever wants to come up and speak next, please come up. Yes, go ahead.
I'm hearing from a friend at home that the Zoom is not up, that they are waiting for the host to start the meeting.
Yeah, we've got it up and it's not functioning.
Let them know.
Yeah, it shows that it's running here, but we're hearing a text message over here as well.
A
different link.
Would
No,
like
we
to speak
don't have a
next?
different link because we wouldn't have been able to publish it. Is the issue.
Would anybody else like to speak? Public comment?
It is showing it.
Huh?
It's showing it on the share.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's just a unique one that comes up. Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next item, consent agenda, item number 3.
I would like to pull some of those minutes for corrections.
Great. What would you like to pull?
We'll start with the first one.
You want to pull all the minutes or some?
Well, I know I have corrections on the first 2. I don't know if anybody has corrections on any of the others.
I have corrections on the 8th and 22nd.
So that's the first 4. Anybody have corrections for July 3rd, 22nd, or 28th?
I'm going to have you speak up because I cannot hear you at all.
Okay. We have corrections for the first 4 minutes listed. I'm asking if anybody has corrections on any of the other minutes.
No, I'm wondering if on F and G, since they're action summary minutes, whether we leave them there, but whether or not maybe they could be delayed because we are talking about that tonight, and whether we would leave them in that form or would want them to be delayed. Oh, I'm sorry. So I was just wondering on the F and G, their action summary minutes, and that is something we're considering, I think, in item 7. So whether we leave them as they stand or pull them to decide whether they should be different.
So
No.
what are you, so again, what are you pulling?
We're pulling the first four. We're
Okay.
pulling,
Great.
for sure, we're pulling February 20, March 25, April 8, and April 22. And,
Okay.
and then I guess we just need to decide if we just want to approve April 22 and 28 as motion summary minutes. Motion summary. So,
Do we need to pull anything, Michelle?
The 8th and 22nd, those were the ones that I needed.
Okay. So we're pulling everything then?
I don't need July.
Kathy,
No.
anything? All right. So let's go ahead and, can we get a motion to pass item number 3, FGH?
So moved.
Can you repeat the motion?
Pull items, consent agenda items A, B, C, and D.
Do you want to move the remainder?
well, does anybody
What's
have
the
questions on the
motion?
disbursements?
I do have some notes on there. I don't know if it's worthy of pulling it at this time, unless someone else also has questions. Otherwise, I could just meet with the city manager.
We're
and
not
another
hearing you
two-
back here.
I do have some questions, but unless another council member also wants to pull the warrants and disbursements, I'm also just as happy to meet with the city manager at a later time for questions. So.
You have anything on that?
Does the public wish to have anything pulled?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're still waiting for a second.
I'll second.
Is that to approve the balance of the consent calendar minus A, B, C, D?
Yes.
Okay.
We have first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So we passed items E, F, and G. All right, so moving on to NH, excuse me. So moving on to item E, City Council minutes, July 3rd, 2025. Or sorry, excuse me, City Council meeting minutes, February 20th, 2025.
I'd just like to make the correction there that it was a Thursday, not a Tuesday, February 20th. Also, on page 1, on page 2, I have a more detailed correction. On line 35,
Okay, line 35.
line 35, it says Mayor Pro Tem Scafani comments on the formation of the ad hoc. And I would like to add, and I wrote this down, so I'd be happy to give this to you afterwards. The formation of the ad hoc outside of an open session council meeting, in spite of multiple requests to agendize this since December 2024. And where it says, in the RCEA solicitation timeline, I would add, which was inaccurately portrayed to the council at the 12/10/24 meeting. And I'd
And
like,
do you have prepared comments on that one? It's like, yeah, I kind of lost you on it.
yes, I'm happy to
Okay.
provide that with
Perfect, thank you.
afterwards. I'm just
Okay.
stating for everybody what my corrections were.
Any other corrections from council?
I just wanted to say on the February 20th, it was in the packet before, and they were the same minutes. It
You
didn't
just pick
say,
up-
the February 20th, we had approved all the minutes, and I think it said that one, but they were the same minutes that were in there before.
So, okay.
Does the public wish to speak on this item?
I'd like the council to speak louder. It's very
Okay.
hard to follow
Okay.
with what's bouncing back and forth and how it's going and what's being referenced by whom, and, it's very difficult.
Great.
whether your mics aren't working or so on. You have a mic.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately, the mics don't amplify us. Thank you. So, consent agenda item D. We need to
Are
pass
you
them.
gonna do a motion for each set of minutes, or are you gonna bundle them?
We can
Bundle.
Really? Okay.
What do you prefer, Jill?
I would prefer individual.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So, with no other modifications to that item, would anybody like to make a motion to pass those minutes?
Move to approve February 20th minutes with the corrections stated by Councilmember Scafani.
Second.
The first and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Minutes pass.
Second?
You repeat
Uh,
what lines
Endless.
are changing? Because I didn't hear.
Line 35 on page 2.
Just 35?
It begins on 35.
Okay, yeah, it starts on 35.
And the day is Thursday.
Yeah. I got
Who was
that.
my second? You were second, right?
Bayless was the second.
Bayless was the second.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moving on to consent agenda item B. What modifications did you need made on that?
I'm looking. You know what? I think I don't have one. I had one and I scratched it out. So I must change. Still change my mind. Sorry. Anybody
Okay.
else?
Yeah, and it does look like the March 25th minutes contain the adoption of the February 20th minutes. So I think that these were just maybe not published. And anyway, my corrections, did you have something?
I just would make sure we're on March 25th now.
Correct.
Yeah, and Elise, you don't have anything after all?
I think I don't.
Okay. Kat, do you have anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
On page 3, line 10, Councilmember Napier, motion dies for lack of a second. I believe I saved it from a slow death and pulled it before it died. I
Okay.
withdrew the motion, I believe. Thank you.
So you withdrew the motion.
Michelle, you have nothing?
Not for that day.
Great. And do you have anything? Okay. Does public wish to make any modifications to these minutes? Seeing
March 25th.
March 25th. Seeing none, let's bring it back to council for approval.
I move that we approve Tuesday, March 25th, city council minutes with the correction that Councilmember Napier gave.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
Terry?
Terry Bates.
Thank you.
Did you second it?
Bayless seconded it.
Mhm.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. Moving on to consent agenda item C, city council meeting minutes for April 8th, 2025.
Okay, so this is a combined one for April 8th as well as April 22nd. It looks like there are duplicates. The April 22nd minutes in my packet are the same as the April 8th minutes in my packet.
Fair enough. This is what was on the server. So if
Yep,
there's,
yep.
if we need to, I would say we can continue this and bring it back to the next meeting if
Sure.
we need to straighten that out.
And that is
Let's-
all I
let-
had.
Okay.
So you motion to continue it to the next meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion to continue the correction of the April 8th and April 22nd meeting minutes to the next meeting.
I'll second.
A second by Scafani. Any comment on these meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll bring it back for a motion to approval. All right, we have the motion, excuse me, a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item number D, city council meeting minutes for April 22nd,
I
2025.
just got that done.
Oh,
Yeah, those
so-
two were together.
just
They were
bundled that
bundled
one.
together.
And just confirm we are not doing H, is that correct? So we've completed that consent agenda. Moving on to item number 4, housing element update. Next steps. Gary Reese, are you here?
If I might,
Yes, sure.
I really want to thank Gary. He actually had other plans this evening. And
Thank you, Gary.
so that was unknowns to us yesterday. So his presence and ability to continue this forward is keeping us on track. So
Yeah.
thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Of course.
Great. So Gary Reese, City Planner. So yeah, we wanted to include this item on the agenda tonight to give you all an update on the process for achieving compliance with state housing law. Hopefully the staff report we put together was, good explanation of what's been done and what remains to be done. In there, we're explaining kind of the summary of steps that we've completed and then the next steps to complete. And just to highlight some of these things, because a lot has been done by the city to work towards compliance. Of course, the council adopted the housing element in July. And after that, it was submitted to HCD. And so the city on August 21st got a letter from HCD stating that the adopted housing element is statutorily compliant with housing element law. So that was great. Also reminding the city they still need to do the rezoning action, which is that next step I'm going to discuss. So that's an important milestone, to get that from HCD. So that's good progress. We also did submit a draft electronic site inventory. We got some comments back from HCD, so I'll be meeting with them next week to work through that. We should get that submitted in the next few weeks, so that'll check that box. Another item too, it was nice, we were able to submit the grant closeout report for the LEAP grant. And so that is now closed out. HCD accepted the closeout report, so the city's obligations for the LEAP grant are completed. So all positive stuff. As far as next steps, we need to obviously finish that site inventory with them and then the rezoning action. And just to remind folks that rezoning action proposes to create a new combining zone, the multifamily combining zone. And that would be implementing housing element program HI 14. And that new combining zone is supposed to be applied to a single site in the city during the 6th planning cycle that's 1 acre or larger. So that's what the rezoning action is. In preparation for moving that through the adoption process, we had a number of questions for HCD. So we were able to meet with them in early to mid-August and discuss an appropriate site that could be applied to. So they provided clear guidance on that. And I know what the site is in the staff reports in the Powers Creek District Zone Opportunity owned by the city. So staff's recommendation will be to apply the multifamily combining zone to that site. We also got some guidance on the CEQA pathway. Some of you may know there were changes to the California Environmental Quality Act. They took effect in July. And there's a new exemption for doing rezoning actions as part of implementing a housing element. So of course, when we heard about that, we said, HCD, is this something that could be used for the city's rezoning action? It actually took them a bit to review it. They conferred with their legal counsel and came back with the determination that they believed it could be used by the city of Blue Lake. And they took their time on that because I'm not sure any other jurisdictions had really asked them to provide a determination on that. Blue Lake was probably the first. So anyway, that's precedent setting for jurisdiction to not have a substantially compliant housing element, be able to use that exemption. So we were excited to hear that. So at this point, really the path is clear for completing that rezoning action. HCD has reviewed the language of the combining zone. They've advised on a viable site to apply it, and they've provided a determination on the CEQA pathway. So in the timeline provided to HCD, we were proposing to take some of this to the Planning Commission on August 18th. They were unable to form a quorum. So we're looking at a meeting, hopefully in September, mid-September sometime, for them to review this and make a recommendation to the City Council. But all in all, with the pathway that HCD has laid out, it appears that the city will be able to achieve compliance before the September 15th date, probably several weeks before. So we're on track for that. So again, that's good news as well. Other than that, that is kind of my summary of the staff report. There was a comment received by a member of the public, which I believe you received in your packet from Lisa Hoover. And if the council would like, I can respond to that.
Go ahead, Gary.
Okay. So just to boil down what I think Lisa is saying here is it's in reference to the multifamily combining zone and what sites it should be applied to. And I think in essence what she's saying is it shouldn't be applied to any sites that are identified in the site inventory of the housing element as having constraints such as creek corridors, riparian zones, flood zones, right, all that kind of stuff. So I think the simplest response is that site that HCD has identified as the viable site to apply the multifamily combining zone to is not identified as having any of those constraints in the site inventory of the housing element. Actually, that column is blank for that site. So I think that generally addresses that point. Lisa also noted a specific property in here that is located along Hatchery Road in between the tap room and the downtown. That site is not proposed to have the multifamily combining zone applied to it, so I don't think that's a concern. So I do believe that addresses the comments. Any questions for me on any of this?
I did. If you don't mind, and I apologize, I don't recognize the parcel number off the top
Yeah.
of my head. But in Lisa's letter, she's referring to a specific parcel.
Yeah.
Which parcel is that?
So do you know where Crow Park is?
Which one?
Crow Park on the corner there that
Yes.
the old Crows did.
Yeah.
So if you continue down Hatchery Road, you run into the parcel.
Okay.
Crow Park turns into the Charlton Road right of way. And just to, I guess, would be the south of that is this parcel. It's linear. It has a section of creek in it.
Yeah. Okay.
There used to be 3 homes on it. They've since been demolished. It's vacant. And the current owner is proposing some single family and ADUs on there.
Great.
But we're definitely not considering that as a site to apply the multifamily combining zone.
All right. Thank you.
Why is that, Gary?
Why
Wouldn't you consider that? Yeah.
It does have constraints. It is narrow, and it just doesn't seem like a good site to apply a combining zone that requires a minimum of 16 units of density up to 20. It's too much development for that site, in my opinion.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions? All
I-
right.
I do
Sorry, go
have
ahead,
another
Kat.
question. Yes. I understand we don't have a wide selection of properties, but before properties were being selected out, what properties were considered?
Yeah, good
Which ones
question.
were
Good
were then
question.
had?
So it's the site just north of Paradise Cay and Jewel Distillery that is the viable site. I also asked about the Danco site. I also asked about the Calgon Carbon site, and I asked about the site here off of South Railroad that's owned by the Farley family that's a larger site. And when we talked about all of those, they really felt that the one north of Paradise Cay made the most sense. Calgon Carbon, it wasn't in the site inventory, so we'd have to make amendments to the housing element. The Danco site, they said, is already being identified for lower income units. The point of this rezoning is to facilitate conditions to allow somebody to do affordable housing. So in their mind, that's like double counting. It's like you've already said it's suitable for lower, so doing that rezoning action there isn't really effective. It's already been identified in that way. And then other than that, the site here, there's limited utilities, access, et cetera, for that site, so they didn't consider that one as viable either. So it really came down to that one site there. And you're right, there aren't a lot of choices.
So the one on South Railroad, is that on the north side or south side?
That would be on the south side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're saying utilities aren't available, is that it's kind of
They're
far?
undersized for that level of development. There's one 6-inch sewer line, is my understanding, going down South Railroad. So to densify that area at this time, there'd be a lot of infrastructure costs associated with that. And that's a burden that would be on developing that property. They don't see that as viable as the one in the Powers Creek district.
And then just as a point of reference then, on the other hand, the one that was selected, but whatever sewer lateral there is already of a much larger capacity?
It is, because it was designed to serve an industrial park. Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a question,
Sure.
Sherry. So under the CEQA notice of exemption, and it came in our email this last week. And so I was reading that, and you did say that that was because it wasn't in a agricultural zone or wetlands.
Yeah.
It wasn't in a flood zone. And I was wondering if you could help me so it would help me make a decision, because we're moving on this quickly. Is our levy certified? Has it been certified and accredited?
I want to say the levy was decertified, like many levies, post Hurricane Katrina, and I don't believe it's been recertified. I'm not sure
Okay.
if that's going to happen in the future, but it has been analyzed. There were folks, I don't know if it was geologists, hydrologists, engineers, that did a report and looked at it and identified they're needing some minor improvements, nothing substantial, that is still sound and still protective of the city.
Okay.
And the FEMA mapping was redone in either 2016, 2017, and they essentially left the mapping as is. That area is in the 500-year floodplain and not in a special flood hazard area like the 100-year floodplain. So you don't need flood insurance to develop down there, and it is considered to be protected by the levee and not subject to flooding by Powers Creek.
Okay, so there would be no standard by FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers if a levee was not certified or accredited, that it would still meet the guidelines of
Yeah.
not being a high.
Because the levee is still
zone.
structurally sound. I know that the county has engaged in some efforts to try and get the levees recertified in the county. Hank Seaman would probably be the person you'd want to talk to about that at County Public Works.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right.
Any other questions from council before we open it up to the public?
I think I have one.
Sure, go ahead.
The lot that is now going to take the combining zone.
Yeah.
If somebody went in there and wanted to build something that was less dense than that, they can,
They
correct?
cannot.
They cannot.
It's a minimum density that's being specified there of 16 units per acre up to a maximum of 20. So the development have to fall in that range.
Okay. And does that zone apply in perpetuity?
That's a good question. I mean, we're going to do it during this planning cycle. If the city was going to go change that down the road, that would be a question for HCD. Usually you don't want to change something after you relied on it to get a compliant housing element.
Mhm.
So I would just treat it as though, yeah, it is in perpetuity. It's going to be done and developed. And yeah, I would just make that assumption.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Joe.
You might be able to fill in the blanks for me a little bit, which is we did receive a resignation from one of the planning commissioners this morning. And so you now have a quorum of 3 individuals. So we'll make sure that it gets noticed. But if there is somebody interested in serving, it's going to be really important to move on this, especially with the actions which are necessary for you to complete this rezoning effort.
Yeah, and as Mr. Swatsky noted, there's a lot of things coming up. It'd be really nice to have a full planning commission. So yeah.
Can you tell us who resigned?
Isaac,
Sorry,
like getting
what was
the
the question?
first name or last name correct.
Matt Isaac.
Matt Isaac, thank you.
Okay.
So left we have Court Pryor, Matthew Shang, and Jason Shea, I think is that's who's left. Yeah.
Alright. I'd like to open up for public comment if we have no other questions for Gary. Gary, do you want to stay there in case the public has questions and we can have like a microphone go around, or what would you prefer to do?
I say you take public comment, note what your questions are that you want me to respond to.
Okay, great.
And then I can do that afterwards.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question I'd like Gary to respond.
Alex, would you mind
Okay.
coming up front?
You're better, Mike. The property north of, the publisher down. Yeah, Paradise Gate.
Alex, would you go ahead and
Okay.
direct your question at us?
The property north of Paradise K, I don't know whether it abuts or infringes upon the old log pond that Macintosh Lumber had on that, which is not a foundation on which you could build. And I'm just wondering, were you aware of that in considering that property? Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I can address the council form.
Sure.
okay.
So I might as well just take it.
Sure, thanks, Gary.
And if you'd like me to, I can
That's fine.
respond as we go. But
Great.
so absolutely, there's been a number of geotechnical investigations done down there. Obviously, you look at historic aerials, from Schuster, from Cal Poly Humboldt. It's clear that was a giant log pond down there. So Paradise K is a good example of a development that developed within the footprint of the old log pond. They had to do a large mat slab, an engineered foundation design that was a bit more expensive, but was what was necessary to develop in that area. It's expected that the Danko project or anybody that develops on that other side to the north would probably have to do the same thing, and it adds cost, but it can be resolved through engineering. So
Great, thank you, Gary. Any other public comment? Yes, Adeline, go ahead.
I'm very sorry to hear that we have had a resignation of a planning commissioner. That's a very difficult job. I was secretary of the planning commission for a couple of years and saw some real hard workers, and it is a difficult job. We have a need for affordable housing in Blue Lake. The Bottawat Community Affordable Housing Project was thoughtfully named and passed by the previous Blue Lake City Council. It will also
Adeline,
have,
does this have to do with the housing element?
I think so,
Well,
isn't
it's-
it
if it's
housing?
not, no.
Oh,
Yeah, just housing element.
all right. Well, in that case, I'm in favor of moving forward with the housing
What was that?
element.
Okay, great. Adeline, apologies. Go ahead, continue.
It's about housing.
Okay, I'm getting different
It's
directions.
informational only.
All right,
Continue.
so I'm moving on. So the Bottawat Community Affordable Housing Project will have retail, commercial on the first floor, housing on the second and third floor. I toured the Sorrel project in Arcata and found it to be an excellent model. Now, it's much larger than what we're going to have here, much, much larger. But it has solar panels, a common area, a manager on site, and net zero energy use. So I would encourage us to move forward on this, and thank you.
Thank you, Adeline. Any other public comment? Yes, go ahead, Barbara. Give me a minute here.
Thank you. I toured the apartments, the Danco apartments in Samoa, and there's a lot of broken down cars, and there's dogs in cars because they're not allowed to be in the apartments. And I think that the city should look into owner occupied co-housing pods and not have them in the center of that space where the pond is, but rather over at the power plant site. There's 20 acres. It doesn't have to take up a lot of room. It's an opportunity for community members to come together for design using natural materials and developing skills. And I think we should look into that. We should do things that help our community develop skills that are going to carry us through to the next, to the challenges that we have ahead. Okay, thanks. Love you guys.
Great, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
I also had somebody out there in the Samoa project get a hold of me because I wanted to see what the project was. He sent me all kinds of pictures of floors that hadn't been worked on in over a year, all kinds of structural problems in the units and things of that nature. When we were looking at Blue Lake and affordable housing, one of our biggest things in our opportunity zone in everything in the housing zone is to keep our rural atmosphere. That's in there multiple times. It's one of the first guiding principles you have for rural atmosphere. And their projects have been designed even by Danco down in Rio Dell, where they have small little cottages, rural atmosphere. So anything we're looking at, I think we should definitely be giving preference to somebody or projects that will keep our rural atmosphere here. Strongly support affordable housing. I think we all can see a need for that. I think the main thing we need to do is when we're looking at our project is to follow the opportunity zone, which was supposed to be a live, work situation. In other words, people have the ability to work in Blue Lake, somewhere, live in Blue Lake, have the businesses here, and that's what the support was for. And a project should be designed to follow those guidelines of rural atmosphere and should be strictly catering, if not all of them, a vast majority of people who will actually live and work in Blue Lake. That's what it was designed for. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move up to Zoom. Julie, Christy, go ahead.
Good evening. Crossing my fingers you guys can hear me listening.
We can, yes, go ahead.
Awesome. First off, I'd like to say that Gary had mentioned that we had a letter sent in that wasn't in the packet from Lisa, and Lisa has been an amazing contributor for many years with very critical thinking on projects like this. And I'm sorry to not see her there tonight to give public comment because I would assume she would have already. So her letters have been discussed a lot in the past.
Julie, just so you're aware, we do have the letter.
Yeah, but I would love to see that in the packet. That's not fair to Lisa.
It came after the packet.
So where I'm at is exactly what Kent was just saying with the ozone designation. as our prior mayor assured us when he designated that they wanted to see like taco shops there, and they wanted to see businesses there, and maybe a little housing. That's all recorded, and that was the impression of that. So what I would have liked to seen tonight in the packet would have been actually the site inventory map that was changed just prior in our housing comment adoption. I've always been really concerned with designating residential down there because our infrastructure restraints. We actually have other parcels that were listed in the inventory map that were not mentioned by Gary prior. He just mentioned the ones that were down near the industrial area. And, as far as our general plan goes, it still is not updated in the way that we actually are condoning residential down there. Actually, exactly like Ken was saying, the preservation of rural. In fact, that barrier along Canyon Creek was supposed to be that barrier. It's still on our general plan. So I'm not housing against housing, but there already was plans to have that. I think you guys gave me the already was blueprints put up with it. It's not something new. It's just like you're using the zoning to push a project that already was projected to happen, to be honest with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Last call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close our public comment. So, council, do we wish to discuss the next step, or do you have any questions for Gary?
I did have another question for Gary,
Sure,
and
yeah.
this is just kind of like asking you to spitball it, but as you know, with the 7th cycle coming down,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, it's just it's the difference between a garden hose and a fire hose at full throttle as far as the amount of housing and I guess the numbers that are coming our way.
I think it might be around 40 units or something.
Well, that's what I'm wondering is when we're looking at that overall, those thousands, how much it increases here. And when we go through this next cycle, do we then again review these, the site inventory and say, okay, well now this property does meet a certain threshold to become multifamily? Or at what point are we kind of stuck with what we have?
Well, if the city at any point finds itself not having enough sites to meet the RENA, they always say the same thing: is upzone or annex. That's kind of the mantra of HCD. Us planners are always wondering at what point does that stop? I mean, there's only so much land to annex. There's only so much upzoning you can do. So that is a concern. I think all the jurisdictions are concerned about how they're going to plan for this new RENA allocation. So yeah, Blue Lake, last time 6th cycle was 23. There was a carryover from the 5th cycle of 11 that got us to 34. But this time it'll be a number that's around 40 or something like that for the 7th cycle. And we're going to run out of sites at some point that are viable sites to claim in the site inventory for sure. I mean, that might happen in the 7th cycle. We'll just have to see and do that analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Gary, would we look at public parks and stuff like that to build on, or what?
I wouldn't recommend.
I just don't know what's next. We're running out of zones, so what's our
Sure.
next step?
We'll just have to look at that when we get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other
And
questions?
so relating to what Julie mentioned, where that site that has just been identified,
Yeah.
now the project that was planned to go there, which I understand has been on hold for a period of time.
Yeah.
But so that project cannot happen there. So if those
It
those
could,
developers,
maybe
it
not in
could?
exactly the same form, but and let's be clear about what happened. And they hired an architect to put a concept plan together. They never submitted an application. They talked about maybe a DDA with the city. I'm not sure that ever happened. So it was an idea, and we haven't heard from that potential applicant in quite some time. So I don't necessarily see that as reasonably foreseeable because, again, no application, no progress. I don't even know if they're working with anybody on it at all. So,
Okay.
yeah. But it proposed, it was a combo. It was, I think there was some commercial on the bottom and residential above, something like that. And, mixed use type project. And you'd still be able to do mixed use with the multifamily combining zone, but you'd have to have a certain percentage of it be residential. You couldn't do mostly commercial. And I can actually look at
Mostly in terms of square footage?
yeah, let me just look at the draft of the zone that they reviewed and read what it says. So there is a section in there on percentage of residential development, and it states a minimum of 50% of square footage in a mixed-use development shall be residential. Also, a development shall not be precluded from providing 100% residential square footage due to the requirements of the principal zone. So a minimum of 50% would have to be residential in a mixed-use development, but you can still do a mixed-use development.
Thank you.
Gary, Julie Christie stated that there was the new zone was applied recently. What do you recall when that was applied?
New zone.
Julie Christie mentioned there was a new zone applied recently. Is that true?
I mean, the only
or-
thing I could think of is the multifamily combining zone, but it
Right.
wasn't applied.
Got it.
You know, obviously we have a draft of it. We have potential site it might be applied to, but we still need to go through the full adoption process. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
So our next action item would be to wait for a report from the planning commission in the September meeting. So anticipate follow up with the first reading on September 23rd. Then
We're not sure if that schedule will be met, but you're right that the next step would be to go to the planning commission and receive a recommendation. That'll come in the form of a resolution. It'll have the text of the combining zone, a map showing, you know, the where it's proposed to be applied. We actually do have a draft of that already that we've prepared to show it. Just so you're aware, that is a 1.4 acre site, and the city only has to apply that to a 1 acre area. So the recommendation from staff will be to only apply it to a 1 acre portion of that site. And the rest of the site is along the trail. So our recommendation will probably be to the 0.4 acre to apply the X open space recreation zone, and maybe the city has another little parklet or something like that. So that's where we're at as staff on the recommendation. But anyway, so you'll get the recommendation from the planning commission, then yes, then you can take it through the ordinance adoption process. Even if they don't have a September meeting, and if for some reason we can't get a quorum or we can lose another planning commissioner, you know, we'll have to talk with the city attorney about how we move forward.
yeah. Okay.
So, staff, do we need to direct Gary to take this on?
No, this was just an informational items to let the council and members of the public know what has transpired since you guys heard this in July.
Okay.
Perfect.
You just said provide direction as appropriate. So
Yeah, it's
making sure.
always just in the event that something came up, we had room to do so.
It's a placeholder.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Can I ask you a question?
Um,
One quick question.
what is the wish of the council?
That's fine.
Is there a reason, why are we not talking about 2 acres at the power plant site? It's not toxic. I went to the county. It's not a brownfield site. It's 20 acres. You could do it over on the side, the house.
So the amount of actions that would need to occur to make that site viable for residential development are significant. It's not zoned appropriately. It contains, you know, stockpiles of buildings and things that would need to be removed. I don't think HCD would have thought that would be a viable site for the current planning cycle. In the future, it may be, and we could potentially count it in the site inventory later. But today, there are just too many steps to prepare that for residential development.
Clear, like equipment. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara.
And we could.
But that's why. Typically, in a site inventory, you claim vacant sites that you could probably develop in, you know, the near future. Not sites, old industrial sites like that. So.
Since we did make an exception, does anyone have any further questions for Gary before he moves on? Okay, great. Thank you, Gary.
For sure.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, discussion and possible action for resignation of city clerk and designation of acting city clerk. Staff, would you like to fill us in on this?
Yeah, this was the item that was added as an urgency item when the council convened its regular meeting yesterday. As I reported then, city clerk Danny Burkhart submitted her resignation at 3:44 p.m. yesterday, the day of the meeting. And due to the items on tonight's agenda requiring election official obligations, we wanted to bring to the council the resignation and also present the council an opportunity to appoint an acting city clerk until a more permanent appointment can be made in the future. obviously, as we've discussed before, the city clerk is a direct appointee of the council. And in talking with Jill, she has indicated that she would serve in an acting basis for a period of time until, the council can develop and find a permanent option. So that's what's before you tonight.
Great. Council, do you have questions for staff?
We do have a deputy city clerk who is Laura, right?
Correct.
So you'll continue to serve in that capacity?
Yes.
Wait.
Well, I do want to note that that's not the question
Right.
for the
yes.
council right now.
Right.
And for purposes of being able to proceed with the 3 items that need the resolutions, that's the reason. And then we'll circle back and figure out some game plans, because not only do you have a deputy clerk, but many of the duties that have been assigned to the city clerk, they've been delegated to other individuals within the office as well. So we need to take the opportunity to identify how you would all like to move forward with either consolidating into a singular position, or if it's going to be sort of this amorphous piece.
So we're discussing that piece or just right now with the
We're just
designation?
looking at being able to do an acting until we can get our feet underneath us. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's not an ideal situation, and that's more burden on you to do that, but I appreciate your stepping forward. And the understanding is that this would be for as short a period as possible, with concurrent activity moving towards reconstituting, or at least an evaluation of what the city clerk position would ultimately look like. So, yeah. From there.
Any other questions?
Can we tonight kind of give that direction that we want to move forward with recruitment of a permanent person, or that's kind of outside the scope of this?
That's outside the scope. I think Jill hears you loud and clear, and I think it's already been identified as a need. And so that'll be brought back to you at a future meeting.
I would like to move that we
We need
appoint
to open up to the public.
Jill
can-
Duffy
Can we make it?
as the acting city clerk.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Michelle, second from Elise. Does the public wish to comment on this item? Madeline, yes, please go ahead.
Okay, very quickly, this is not unprecedented. We have had our former manager, Mandy Mager, as an acting city clerk oftentimes. I'm sorry about Danny Burkhart resigning. I hope she got the manager job in Trinidad. I know that's what she wanted, but I don't know that she did. But anyway, I'm in favor of us moving forward with this.
Great, thank you.
Can we clarify?
Sure.
Danny is still an employee of the city. She simply resigned from the city clerk designation that the council did a couple of months ago with her.
Okay,
Yeah.
my mistake. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I kind of want to make sure that's clear.
So what is her?
She's the finance manager.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further public comment? Yes, go ahead.
So I really feel that we need a city clerk. We've been struggling with this since January. And a resolution was made to make the manager the city clerk, which was not legal. It had to be an ordinance. So we're working off of an old resolution in order to do this. The council has asked to be told what those jobs were that got farmed out to everybody. We've never got an answer for that, so I would like to see that happen. The job description is still up on the website, which is bogus. It's not a good job description for a city clerk. So that's another thing that needs to be done. We need to get a good city clerk description so we can get somebody hired. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment? Julie Christie, go ahead.
Sorry, I had a slightly unmute option. Jill, thank you for clarifying the situation with the union. And I'm sorry if my voice is hoarse. I went to the fair. I got sick. I got my husband sick today. I'm in big trouble. But going back to our city clerk and Rebecca's comments just a minute ago, I understand the concern that she has. However, I just really feel confident in this moment that we would be, and thank you, Jill, for being willing to step up to this position in the time frame that we're strained with. Because I think again, Jill is actually amazing with giving this city just a quick foundation of like, hey, you guys, this is what you need to do. This is how to do it right. And I appreciate the little time that she has to do that for us right now. So I do aspire us to get a full-time clerk, but we've been actually battling this since like 21. Okay, it's not a new thing. Okay, actually, one time we were told we didn't need one, but we know we do, and I appreciate the motion on the table tonight, and I definitely approve it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further public comments? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. Bring it back to council. Do you want to repeat the motion or just go ahead and move forward?
Good. We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 It passes.
And just so the council's aware, Jill will take the oath and sign it, and it'll be on file.
Great. Moving on to the new item number 6, receive and file certificate of sufficiency of 3 recall petitions and set date for special municipal election for the recall. Staff, would you like to fill us in on this?
Certainly. This is while it's a lengthy report, I am just going to make it the summary because I presume most people have already read it. And basically on August 4th, we had some local proponents put forward their petition for the removal of council members Napier, Swatsky, and Stefani, and they timely filed within the city hall the 3 recall petitions. I do want to note that we did do a side-by-side comparison in terms of, we counted them, we both agreed. And then I immediately took them over and dropped them off with Juan Cervantes. He's our registrar of board voters, and he is present this evening in order to provide any sort of feedback to the council and members here. They went through their process. They did identify that only one petition met the threshold that was necessary to move forward with a recall. And we now have a recall election, which is on the ballot. The remaining petitions for Napier and Sawatsky did not meet the threshold, and so no further action will be taken at this time. So tonight, what we're asking through the adoption of a couple of resolutions is that, one, we need to certify the outcome of the signature review, and within 14 days, call a municipal special election to conduct the recall. And, as far as the election is concerned, council must select a Tuesday, which is going to be between November 22nd and December 23rd for the election, unless this meeting is continued to September 9th, in which case we see a slight shift in those dates. Those dates are detailed in this packet. The next question for the council to consider is whether to hold the election entirely by mail or to do a combination of mail and in-person ballot. I'm hoping that Juan will be able to talk a little bit more about this, because at the time that this was all transpiring, we were not looking at having a special election. So there's going to be some challenges relative to his ability to, be. He's going to have some challenges pulling some pieces together. We are also asking that the Humboldt County Registrar of Voters perform the full services to the city related to the conduct of a special municipal election. Some cities have staff internal in which they're able to do the administration of this. This is a very small city. We're asking the Registrar of Voters if they will handle this, and that is the purpose for the second resolution. So we're going to certify the one, and then the other one is we are requesting that they act in that role on our behalf. And then probably the next piece that we don't want to lose is if council decides to move forward with a combination mail and ballot, that you would waive the rental charges for Prash Hall, which has been your normal polling site. That will help to reduce the overall cost to the city for holding that special election. I do want to note that while, best estimates is that we're looking between $8,000 and $12,000. I have included in the resolution not to exceed $15,000, just so that we have a little cushion in the event that they encounter any additional cost related probably to the special election by the state. I think we're going to have a run on paper and some other items like that, so things might be getting a little expensive. So those are funds that were not budgeted, and we'll have to figure out through the budgetary process how that is going to be funded. And that concludes my report at this time. If anybody has any questions, I will do my best to answer, or we have Juan or General Counsel, and we also have Special Counsel Michael Culitano, and he's been providing us with the election assistance. Is he behind me? Hi.
Yes.
And so that concludes.
Great.
Can
Thank
we
you.
put Michael on the big part of the screen so we can actually see him?
He's going to have to speak, and that's kind of how that changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council, do you have questions for staff or Juan? If you
No, let's start working through them.
Juan, do you have anything to share with us about the physical polling option?
Hello. Yeah. When I first spoke to you all about the polling place option, we hadn't planned on having a special election month prior to this one. And so our intent was for our internal staff, like myself, to run the polling place if you chose to go with the polling place and save money in that manner. With special election, we won't have the bandwidth to do that. So we'll have to bring on board extra help for poll workers to do so. So that might increase the cost of going in person a little bit. Yeah. May I touch on one more thing?
Yes, please.
Our staff has identified December 9th as being the ideal date, just in terms of making sure that we get the most voter turnout, given the proximity to both Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so that's the ideal date. You have the discretion of calling whatever date that's legal within the parameters that Jill laid out, but in terms of how close it is to anything else, that's the date that we've identified.
And so that's because that's the furthest from either of those holidays. Is that
It's
your
the furthest
rationale?
from both. Yeah.
Okay. And what about if we were to go into January? I think our last possible date would be January 6th.
I think there you run into the new year and all those issues tied to the end of the year and the holidays. It's still a viable date. It's just going to impact voter turnout. Historically, it has.
Okay.
Juan, I have a question, but maybe it's more for legal. I'm not sure. There was the initial reasoning behind the recall that was brought forward. Should I ask counsel about that, or should I ask you?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah. Hey, Michael, quick question for you. So there were some initial accusations about the reason the recall was happening was because the housing element and how we parted ways with our city manager. And then later on, other items got added to the recall effort. Can you address that for the public and explain to them how that transpires?
The recall process allows the petitioners to state why they're doing what they're doing. And it allows the elected officials to state their response. And those two statements go physically on the recall petition. The theory is that people read the recall petition and make a reasoned judgment about whether they should sign it. I'm not sure how much time people spend when somebody's at their doorstep or when you're in front of a supermarket with somebody trying to get your signature, but that's the theory. But that is, of course, only part of our political process. And because this is politics, people are free to speak to the full breadth of the First Amendment. And there is a community dialogue that often goes beyond what's in that statement. And there will be similar dialogue through Election Day as well.
Great. Is there anything the council member who's being recalled can say or can't say? I mean, can they speak the truth or can they?
Oh, absolutely. They got the same First Amendment rights everybody else does.
Okay, great.
They've got certain responsibilities as a city leader, like not disclosing what was discussed in closed session and not invading the personnel privilege of city employees. But other than those duties to the city, our First Amendment rights are just as broad as anybody else's.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff from council? Any other questions for Juan before we open up the public?
I guess, do you have an estimate of what the cost would be to have a physical polling place?
I can't imagine it would be more than a few $100s. It would be basically any costs that I see are going to be directly just given back to the jurisdiction, and we do so in a transparent manner. So when we itemize our bill, essentially, and so it would just be the cost of the poll workers for that 16-hour day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. 16 hours. That's a long day.
We make them do math at the end. If you're interested, I have an election coming up in November that you all would be great poll workers for. It's just a short 16-hour day. It's easy math.
It's a tiny day.
Do you get a lunch break?
Overtime? Time and a half.
We can negotiate.
All right.
We can't put on with that special election on November 5th.
Timing is such that you can't. It's too late for you to, because you're calling it at this point. It needs to be called a certain number of days prior to the election, and that window is passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Very big change. I'd like to go ahead and open it up
Shame.
for public comment. Who would like to comment on this item? Adeline, would you like? No. Julie, Christy, go ahead.
I'm really not very happy to see us in this situation in the city. Unfortunately, since 2021, prior to that, we should have been in this situation. I don't know how many times prior to Elise being on our council. In fact, since then, we've actually been striving in a manner that's what is actually what we should be striving for legally and ethically. So I feel like this whole process, unfortunately, we have to do it. It is very unethical and unwarranted. However, listening to the dialogue tonight, I feel like we have due process happening. And I appreciate all the individuals going through the stress and time to deal with this unnecessary situation. But I am still going to say, Elise, I really commend you. I commend all of you guys. You've been the best council I've seen ever, ever. Thank all of you so much. And Jill, thank you for being there for me, helping us through this.
Thank you. Any further public comment on this item? Okay.
I did have a question for, is it Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael works.
Hi, thank you, Michael. So my question is this, and it's, I guess the answer is moot at this point, but just how much latitude is there with First Amendment rights with regard to the statements for the purpose of recall, the ones that are actually printed and the ones that were gathering signatures? Because I take exception actually with both parts as being fundamentally untruthful. So how do you weigh that out with First Amendment rights versus defamation of character, slander, misinformation, that type of thing?
It is difficult to establish that misstatements about public officials rise to the level of slander or defamation, which are the same thing when they're once written. Because of a case called New York Times versus Son of the Sierra, in which the state of
I'm sorry,
Alabama
Michael,
tried
to
to shut
interrupt
down the
you.
New York Times distribution.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear.
Can we turn the volume on the TV up?
Yeah, do we have volume that we can
Yeah,
turn up
the sound
here?
was clouded. That's now clear again.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a volume button up there, maybe. There we go.
That should work.
It's going to be
All
really
right,
loud.
Michael,
Shall I
try
try
one more
again?
time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. There's a case called New York Times versus Sullivan, decided by the Warren Court during the Civil Rights era. Alabama tried to punish the New York Times for criticizing its conduct in the treatment of its African American citizens. And the New York Times said that in order to preserve First Amendment values, a public official cannot succeed in a defamation or slander challenge. Defamation and slander are the same thing. Well, unless they show that the speaker knowingly told a falsehood or was reckless as to the likelihood the statement was false. That is a very high standard. And many of the things that are said in politics, state, local, and national, are matters of opinion. So generally speaking, those of us who are brave enough to serve the public have to have thick skins.
Any other questions from council? All right. So staff, we have to make two different motions on these
Do
items.
you want to open it for public
Oh,
comment?
we did already. I think we did already open it for
I
public.
only heard from
I don't think there was any.
and Julie.
There was, yeah. That's true.
That was it. Okay.
Okay.
My apologies.
No, it's okay.
So,
I'm
yeah, so
surprised.
we are looking for some recommended actions. Number two, recommendation number two is to discuss and issue a call to set the municipal election date. So that's a specific conversation we need for you to have. We would also like you to express the voting preference, and so that we can make sure that our direction is clear and our coordination efforts are there. And then with respect to in-person polling, that there would then be the use of Prash Hall. Everything else follows forward through the recommendations. Those three actually need to have you guys to weigh in more explicitly.
So was date Crash Hall and then what else?
So it's basically number 2, 3, and 4.
Thank you.
That's what I need you to kind of clarify when you're making a motion.
And it's one motion for everything.
You can do it in one motion. You can do it in multiple motions.
Can we please do it in single motions?
Yeah, just make
let's do
sure
that.
that it's then all inclusive of those 3 items
Great.
that we need clarification on. It certainly would be cleaner. Yes.
So can I move that number 1, we receive and file certificate of sufficiency and sufficiency of the local recall petition seeking removal of council members Napier, Swatsky, and Scafani?
So just a point of clarification on that. Items 1 through 4 in the recommended action are really just discussion items. Those will get incorporated into the 2 resolutions that are 5 and 6. So resolution number 1239 is, with that adoption, is to certify the sufficiency or insufficiency of the recall petitions.
That's correct. Okay.
So perhaps it's best to start with the adoption of resolution 1239, because there's no blank spaces in that require discussion. And then resolution 1240 has some blank spaces for the date of the election, the manner of conducting the election. And then we can take up Prash Hall as part of that motion as well. So again, I'd recommend we take up resolution 1239, certify the sufficiency or insufficiency of the recall petitions, and then we can move on to the rest of the discussion items.
Okay. Well, then I move that we adopt resolution 1239.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Last call for. Do I need to open up for public comment again?
Yeah. To be clear, I have a packet from last night that would still state Danny Burkhardt as city clerk. I assume these things those.
I've
amendments
already
are
changed the
taken-
signature pages, so they're ready to go.
Great, just for clarity's sake.
Yeah.
That's what we're working with. Thank you.
Yes.
One last call for public comment on this item. Seeing none, bring it back. All right, we have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Be a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Napier?
Aye.
Or, sorry, Jill. That's your turn.
That is. Roll call. vote.
Councilmember Lewis Lusso,
Aye.
Councilmember Swatsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Scafani,
Aye.
and Councilmember Bales.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. All right, the next item.
So I think the next discussion point would be the date of the election.
So I'm gonna move, and I don't know if I'm gonna suggest that we set the date in 2 weeks on September 9th. We have 14 days with which to work with in the date setting, and I would like to suggest that
So
we
you would like to continue?
would like to continue. Yes, I would like to continue. Do we continue the entire thing? We continue the resolution of 1240?
We can't adopt the resolution without the election date.
So we cannot. Well, then I would move that we continue resolution 1240 to September, to a special meeting on September 9th.
We have a motion.
I'd second it.
Second. Public comment? Seeing none, coming back to, yes, Juan, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some comment. It would be a courtesy to us if you could handle this during this meeting. We have a lot on our plate, and being able to plan out, we need every day that we can, given the special election that's coming at us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I absolutely appreciate that. I also realize that if we set the date tonight, that limits us to certain dates that may not be as suitable as others. Correct? We cannot choose a date past the December, is it 23rd?
You have to set the date based on the window which is prescribed in the code.
And that window starts tonight, does it not?
Well,
It starts when the election is called. Is that correct, Michael?
You're
He
muted.
said that's right. I can read that.
That's right. Sorry to make you lip-read.
The window starts when we call the election. So when we adopt resolution 1240, that's when our window starts. That's the date that dictates the possible election dates.
That's correct.
So we have a certain date range if we set the election tonight. We have a different date range if we set the election on September 9th.
That's correct. In the same way that it
Yeah.
changed from yesterday to today.
Okay.
So it just gets moved over that many days.
Okay. So I stand by my motion. I apologize for any difficulties that could cause, but I stand by my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, there's a second, and the reason I support this is I do clearly hear the challenge and the burden it puts on the county, and as much as we could accommodate, I would, but I also think that the largest burden is on the person who is under recall. There's a great deal of work and effort and communication and time that has to go, that has to be put out into the community. So if you're asking for time for consideration on that, I think that the council can provide and come back on September 9th and decide these things.
Thank you.
Speak to that.
Sure.
I have very severe concerns with that being the cause
Okay.
that impacts when you set your election. It seems to me that it's the council taking a stance on the election. I'll let Michael speak to you because he can provide legal advice on that front. But that being the rationale makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Michael, would you comment on that, please?
The council's entitled to express an opinion. I don't know whether it wants to. And the law says you can choose dates within these windows. So I think this is all part of the political process.
Thank you. All right. So we have a first and a second. Does the public wish to comment on this item? Yes, go ahead, Adeline.
I really appreciate Juan Cervantes being here and his expertise in these issues. I think that all of us here would appreciate that a date be chosen this evening. I think that it's starting to look a little too political when we are moving it to September 14th or September 9th. And also, this is a matter of transparency, which was something I heard a lot at the last election. And again, it looks like the council is not being as completely transparent as they can be by having a special meeting to choose this date. I think this December 9th date is a perfectly fine date. You don't want to have it close to Thanksgiving on the 25th. You don't want to have it close to Christmas on the 23rd. And I think that this motion that's been moved and seconded should fail.
Thank you. Yes, Barbara, go ahead.
Is there, so can they, if you want to set the date for what, to give yourself some time, how about are you allowed to set it out into February? Say Valentine's Day?
No.
We're not.
Thank you. Further public comment? Yes, go ahead.
I would just say that I can speak for myself and I would like Adeline not to speak for me. And if that's the choice that you make to move it out till September 18th, I think that's fine.
Thank you. Any further public comments? Lori Ponte, go ahead. Lori.
I think she's trying to get her on.
Let's give one moment. Any other public comment while we get Lori going?
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay. Yeah, I totally disagree with Adeline. I think this is a very pivotal election, and I think that nothing should be rushed. I understand her agenda, but I believe that we need to take as much time as necessary, and I think that in December is adequate enough time for probably because, or most importantly, because of the cost to the city. So this gives the city enough time to figure out where they're going to be able to get the funding for this election. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comments?
Hi, this is Angela Dare.
Just wanted to say that I agree with Lori
Lori
Ponte.
Ponte.
I second what she said.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment? Bringing it back to council. I have a motion in a second.
Roll call or?
Juan, I have a question for you. What is the benefit of delaying it till September?
I don't see one. The reason stated was that it would give the member being recalled the greater opportunity to do outreach. In terms of the conduction of the election, I don't see a difference. In terms of when you receive the bill, I also don't really see much of a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I ask Elise a question? Is it okay? Is it okay to ask her a question? Like, how does waiting until September inhibit you from starting now, going door to door, or doing whatever you do?
That's not an issue for me. I just feel like if we have to narrow something down tonight, that's just one more burden that we have to decide right now. And I think we should have a little more time to consider our options and consider the impact of those decisions. And I don't see a problem doing that. And again, I apologize if there's any inconvenience in any way, shape, or form to Juan or his staff. But quite frankly, this has been an enormous inconvenience to everybody sitting at this table. So quite frankly, Adeline and your friends, this is what makes good sense to us.
Jill, can I ask a question? Or Michael, let me ask you a question. No matter what, we have to go through this process, correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great. Just making sure. I'm just trying to figure out the September 9th
Well,
date here, so.
I think the other piece though is while he's saying, "Oh yes, failure to act," puts it in the
Well,
county's hands.
I'm just trying to
We're not going
get
to
some
fail to
information.
act.
Well, but I mean,
We're acting
in
thoughtfully.
in the interest of that range, those are your three.
I feel very strongly that there's not going to be a big difference, at least from the standpoint of choosing a date if we do it tonight versus doing it on a special meeting night of September 9th. That's just my opinion. We need to look at the calendar, look at what makes sense. It looks like there's recommendations that are very strongly stated with good reasoning. And it seems to me that moving this out to another day is going to just keep delaying the inevitable. We do have to take action on this. Waiting for a special meeting doesn't make any sense to me. That's my opinion. And that is where I'm sitting right now. As
Okay.
painful as all of this is, I do not want to dismiss any of the concerns and the inconvenience and the however you want, many other descriptive words to use about the situation that we are in right now. However, it feels like to me that I would be ready to make a motion for a set date tonight. That's my opinion.
And we already had a motion and a second on the floor,
Yeah.
so we need to vote on that first. So would you mind repeating your motion for me?
My motion is to continue item number 6, approval of resolution 1240 to a special meeting on September 9th.
All right, and we had a second from Napier. All right, let's
And
go
I
ahead. And
want to just mention that we have a whole lot of items that didn't get on our agenda tonight. So we're absolutely going to be having a special meeting on September 9th. We're not having a special meeting for just this purpose.
So we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It doesn't matter. Or,
Right.
No, I said aye.
oh, okay.
Mhm.
Sorry, apologies. I didn't hear you.
Okay.
So, nay.
I'm nay.
Nay.
Yep.
So the motion
3-2.
3-2. All right. So the date will be September 9th then that we revisit this. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mike.
It was Michelle.
Thank
and
you,
John.
Michael.
Thank you, Mike. Are we all done with that?
Good night.
We're done.
Thank you, Michael. All right.
I need to take a call. I'll be back.
Are, we have to do one more thing, I think, right?
We had a few
Elise,
more
are you
things.
leaving?
I mentioned I had to take a call. I'll be back.
Okay. All right.
Do you want
So
to
we have-
take a break
Yeah.
until she's able to come back?
Sure,
If
let's
she's
take
going
a
to do
quick-
that?
Let's take a quick
It
break.
would
That
make
would be
more
nice.
sense to just take a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sir, you'll need to call the 5-minute break.
I'd like to call a 5-minute break.
Timer on.